Have you ever had one of those brilliant, game-changing business ideas in the shower, only to have it completely disappear by the time you've had your coffee? Yeah, you're not alone. That first spark is the easy part, but turning it into a real, breathing business, that's where things get tough. Well, today, we're going to change that. We are breaking down a super clear, three-step blueprint to find an idea that's not just good, but is a perfect fit for you.
So let's just start with the tough truth, right? Most people who dream about starting a business, well, they just never do. And for the brave few who actually give it a shot, they often pour their heart, their soul, their savings into an idea that, honestly, was probably doomed from the very start. It's a frustrating and, frankly, a pretty heartbreaking cycle. So you have to ask why, right? Why do so many ideas that seem so promising, backed by really passionate people, just fall flat? It's usually not because of a lack of effort, it's about a lack of the right strategy right from the very beginning.
The failure often starts right here, in one of these super common traps. You see people chasing a hot trend like AI without really understanding it, or they try to just copy a successful business, not realizing they're setting themselves up for a brutal uphill battle. Or, and this is a big one, they follow a personal passion, like, say, writing poetry, only to find out that nobody's really willing to pay for it. These paths are just recipes for burnout. We're going to avoid them completely. Here's how.
All right, step one. It all begins by looking inward. We call this find your fit, and we're going to use this really powerful Japanese concept called Ikigai to get there. This is all about making sure your business idea is aligned with who you actually are, creating a foundation that's authentic and, more importantly, sustainable.
So, what is Ikigai? Well, it literally translates to a reason for being. And in the business world, you can think of it as the magic spot, that powerful intersection of three really important areas: what your natural talents are, what your genuine passions are, and, this is the crucial one, what the market actually values enough to pay for.
So, this breaks down into three core questions that we're going to tackle one by one. What are your strengths? What are your passions? And is there a real market demand for them? Let's dive into the first one.
Okay, first things first. Let's start with what you're genuinely good at. Your skills, your natural talents, these are your secret weapons. Building a business on your strengths is like playing a game on your home turf. It gives you an immediate, built-in advantage. So when the challenges pop up, and believe me, they will, you'll be naturally equipped to handle them. Next up, what do you love? And look, this is not a fluffy question, it's an incredibly practical one. Building a business takes a massive amount of work. We're talking long nights, early mornings, weekends. If you don't deeply love what you're doing, you will burn out. It's that simple. Passion is the fuel that gets you through.
And finally, the all-important reality check. What can you get paid for? Look, you can be brilliant at something and love it completely, but if nobody is willing to pay you for it, you have a hobby, not a business. People laughed at the idea of paying strangers to sleep in their homes, and then Airbnb happened. There has to be a clear path to making money.
Okay, so once you've found an idea that really fits you, it's time to look outward. Step 2 is all about finding your space. And to do this, we're going to use something called the blue ocean strategy, which is a brilliant way to think about positioning yourself in the market so that your competition becomes, well, basically irrelevant. So most businesses operate in what's called a red ocean. Imagine sharks fighting over the same fish. The water turns red. It's a crowded, bloody fight for the same customers, usually won by whoever can offer the lowest price. A blue ocean, on the other hand, is wide open, uncontested market space. You're not fighting anyone because you've created something entirely new.
Cirque du Soleil is the classic example here. The traditional circus industry was a dying red ocean. So instead of trying to be a better, cheaper circus with the same old clowns and animal acts, they completely reinvented it. They created a totally new form of entertainment, this blend of circus and theater, and they attracted a whole new audience that was willing to pay a premium for it.
So how do you actually find your blue ocean? Well, it comes down to asking 4 strategic questions. First, what old industry assumptions can you just eliminate? Second, what common features that customers don't really care about can you reduce? Then, what elements that people truly want can you raise to a whole new level? And finally, what can you create that the industry has never, ever offered before?
All right, we're on to our final step. You found your fit, you found your space. Now it's time to actually build your plan. And we're going to do this using the lean canvas, which is basically your entire business blueprint condensed onto a single page.
The real beauty of the lean canvas is just how simple it is.
Seriously, forget those 50-page business plans that nobody ever reads. This tool forces you to get crystal clear on the 9 most critical parts of your business. It's a powerful way to stress test your idea and see if it actually holds up before you invest years of your life into it.
So the canvas starts with 4 foundational blocks. First, the problem. For a company like Uber, it was the absolute frustration of trying to hail a cab. Then, your customer. Be specific here. Remember, Facebook started just for Harvard students. After that, your unique value proposition. That's your one-sentence promise. And finally, your solution.
Next up are the logistics. This is the engine of your business. Channels. How are you actually going to reach your customers? Then, revenue streams. How will the money actually flow in? Is it subscriptions, direct sales, ads? And finally, the cost structure. You have to be brutally honest here about what it's really going to cost to run this thing.
And finally, the differentiators. What are the key metrics you'll use to actually measure success, not just some vanity numbers? And last, and this is maybe the most important box on the page, what is your unfair advantage? This is what makes you hard to copy. It's your protective moat. And hey, this ties directly back to that blue ocean you just created.
So there you have it. We've gone from the internal work of finding your fit to the external strategy of finding your space, and finally to the really practical work of building your plan. Now, let's just put it all together.
So here's the entire blueprint in one place. You start with the why, that's Ikigai, finding your personal fit. Then you move to the where, that's your blue ocean, finding your own market space. And you finish with the how, that's the lean canvas, building your practical plan. See, it's a logical flow from passion to position to plan.
The most important thing to take away from all this is simple. Stop guessing. You now have a repeatable, structured process to move from that vague feeling of, I want to start a business, to a viable, specific, and well-thought-out idea that actually has a real shot at success.
And that really brings us to the end. You have the map, you have the frameworks, you have the blueprint. The only question left is, what problem are you